Hello, in this video of the text analytics demo for Pizzeria, we're going to go through the piece of the work required to provision the necessary resources in Azure portal. Before starting, let me note that being an Office Line employee, who is a Microsoft Partner of the Year in Greece for the last 3 years, I have to note that what I'm seeing here do not necessarily represent the perspectives of the company or Microsoft. So I have created a repo on GitHub with all the material necessary to follow this demo. The first step would be to upload the Synapse Comments tab file on an Azure Data Lake, and then run this Spark notebook in Synapse. As you can see, we also have to provision two cognitive services. We can do it with one bundle cognitive service. If you do this scenario, you might have also some free calls on the services to go through the demo. So the first step would be to create an Azure Synapse Analytics workspace. I'm creating a new one. Can select a resource group or create a new one. Give it a name. Select the region, and you have to create an Azure Data Lake account. On the file system, a container for the data lake. That's where you're going to upload the files and stuff. So I'm not going to go into details regarding the security or networking. I'm just going to do the minimum steps required to go through the demo. Of course, Office Line has dedicated teams for security and networking in Azure, and you can discuss in detail what might be involved. This is a very serious issue. So the first thing I need to do is create a password for the SQL admin user in the SQL pool. This would be corrected for security purposes. And then I don't need any tags, and I create it. I'm not going to create one because I already have one in place. But after you create the workspace, there's a button, you click it, and you go to Azure Synapse Studio. That's my workspace here. So the next thing that we need to do is go to the Manage portal and create some linked services. So we need to create a link service for the cognitive service and the key vault that we need to create in Azure before being able to create the link services. A very important piece of information here is in access control. You're going to see this service principal, and this is going to be different for you. But we need to use it for getting access into the key vault that I'm going to create. So, first step, create a cognitive service. But before that, we need to create a managed identity. And one. One. So this managed identity is going to be used to create the cognitive service. Then I'm creating a cognitive service. And if you select translator service or language service, you might have some free pricing tiers here. Books. Now here we need the managed identity that I created earlier. And then we can create the cognitive service. The next step would be to create a key vault. So what I did is go to the key vaults and create a new one. It's a good practice to have everything in the same region and actually in the same resource group. But anyway. So I can create a new access policy here using. So for security reasons, you need to be careful when assigning permissions, but now for this demo, I'm going to give my user all the permissions necessary. And I'm selecting a principal here. I'm going to use this guy I showed earlier. So this from Azure Synapse Studio. I forgot something here. Forgot the resource group. And I don't need to do anything more. While it is creating the key vault, I can go to my cognitive service. All cognitive services. This is the one I created. And I'm copying the key to use it within a secret in the key vault. It's ready, the key vault, and I'm going into the resource. In the secrets tab, I'm creating a new secret. Oh, sorry, that was not the one. This is one. So new secret. And I'm pasting here the key. So now I can go to Synapse Studio in the Manage tab in linked services and create a new linked service for the Key Vault. So I'm searching for Key Vault here and continue. I'm selecting the Key Vault name. Here it is, Pizza Demo Keys. As you can see here, it requires the managed identity. That's why I granted access to that managed identity earlier. And here I usually publish to ensure that I don't get any strange error messages. And the second step is to create a cognitive service, link service. I'm selecting my subscription. The name of the cognitive service was not listed, so I'm refreshing it. Pizza Demo 1. The name of the Key Vault link service that I created earlier. Demo Pizza Keys. And the name of the secret that I created. The secret version should be the latest version. And I'm creating it. So the name of the link service will be Demo Pizza Cog, and that's what we need to have in these strings here, both in the translate service name and the sentiment service name, because I use the bundled cognitive service. So it provides all these services. And after that, upload the file I showed earlier in the data lake, the Synapse Common tab. What I've done, I created also a new folder here called test, and inside that folder I uploaded the file from my desktop after I cloned the repo. So we're gonna go through the details of the Synapse notebook and all this work in the next video. Thank you very much.